Thanks, Goose. Developer Bungie's ambitious new shooter Destiny was recently in alpha and we checked it out. This is developer Bungie's first game since Halo Reach back in 2010 when they broke away from Microsoft to become independent. So it's kind of a big deal.
Yes, it's apparently got the biggest budget of any game ever. $500 million is what's being reported. And Activision have signed them on for a whopping decade-long publishing deal for the series. Not to mention those hefty Halo-sized shoes to fill.
Yeah, so no pressure.
No pressure.
For anyone who hasn't heard about it, Destiny is basically an online, not quite massively multiplayer online game, mostly cooperative, but also single-player, first-person shooter role-playing game. But I think a quicker way to describe it would be a love child between Halo and Borderlands.
Yeah, it's got that beautiful sci-fi art, the swelling choral music, and the way the combat moves and feels, it's unmistakably Halo-esque. Add in loads of guns, unlocks, leveling, different classes, and numbers flying off guys' heads. And you've got yourself Halo lands through and through.
To start off with, you get to pick between 3 classes with Titan, Hunter, and Warlock. Each has a special grenade type and melee attack, as well as a powerful supercharge move, and upgrade trees to work through.
There are a few cosmetic options too, letting you choose between being a male or female human, awoken or exo, along with a bunch of other options to tinker with.
There aren't the endless customization sliders you get in a lot of RPGs, but I think there's enough there to make your character stand out a bit. I was disappointed that I couldn't make him creepy and ugly like I usually do, though.
Yes, well, thank goodness for that. The way the game tends to work is that most things can be played solo, but it does matchmaking in the background so that you can occasionally find other players running around with you.
Yeah, I think that background matchmaking is what they're hoping will set Destiny apart from the pack. It's kind of a worry-free, passive take on co-op, and I like that you don't have to go and find your friends and actively create a match. It just does it all for you.
Yeah, and that is cool, but it's hardly mind-blowing. I think what it does well is almost give the impression of being an MMO without actually ever having a massive amount of players in any one world. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's still just online co-op with an extra layer of pizzazz over the top.
The campaign mission we got to play sees you heading off into an old radar station.
It can't be.
On the way, you take on groups of enemies and a scary room full of space zombies before finally facing a boss, Wizard. All the while, Peter Dinklage, aka Tyrion from Game of Thrones, chats away to you.
I thought we had them contained there. The darkness could be a lot closer than we think.
I didn't think it was particularly inspired mission design, personally. It was very standard shooter fare.
Yeah, it's certainly not reinventing anything, but it was fun. And I did like that you can pull out little Star Wars speeder bikes whenever you want. But you can't ram enemies with them. Where's the fun in that?
Well, maybe it's an upgrade.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, the alpha didn't give much away about the plot. But from what we've gathered, a long time ago, humanity spread throughout the solar system and prospered thanks to the arrival of this giant mysterious ball, known as the Traveler.
But the Traveler apparently has a few enemies since a whole bunch of not-so-friendly aliens followed in its wake, promptly smacking our blossoming civilization down and leaving just one last bastion of humanity on Earth where the Traveler now sits, closely guarding us.
I love the whole setup and the universe they've built with this, and I instantly wanted to go out and explore it.
Yeah, it's an intriguing premise, but some of the writing we've seen so far hasn't been great. And to be honest, I felt the same way about Halo games in the past. I think Bungie are really great at coming up with awesome concepts and story arcs, but just some of their dialogue can be a bit painful.
All personnel,
The wounded.
code Alpha
We're getting all of them
Verify.
out.
Ma'am, squad leaders are requesting a rally point. Where should they go?
To war.
Yes, and some of the performances in Destiny are so bad they've already inspired memes.
That wizard came from the moon.
Still, it's all out of context at the moment, so we'll just have to wait and see if that story comes together in the final product.
Yes, it's quite possible. There's a whole plot thread about a faction of moon wizards.
Well, we can only hope.
Lots of motion ahead.
I admit, I was a little skeptical going into this, Hex. From what little I played at E3 and everything I'd seen, I just didn't get what all the fuss was about. But after spending some time with it, the hook started to get in, and I'm officially excited now.
Yeah, it really has that mix of instantly satisfying combat and that ever-tempting carrot of better gear and loot. Add in breathtaking scenery waiting around every corner, and it's hard to put down. I was impressed with how polished and final this felt for a game that's in alpha.
Yes, you can certainly feel all those hundreds of millions of dollars at work. And outside of the campaign mission, there's also a 3-person strike mission, where you team up and deal with loads of guys and a few very tough bosses. I thought it felt a bit like an old-school WoW raid. Those bosses took some serious punishment and teamwork to go down.
If you're even a little bit underleveled for the job, prepare for a long grind. But, you know, an enjoyable, rewarding kind of grind that you want to see through.
Well, they sent the right team to handle this one.
There's also a free roam mode, where you wander around the fairly large environment looking for mission beacons. Most missions are along the lines of killing a certain number of enemies, or going to a specific location. It's general busy work, but useful for killing time and grinding some XP.
I liked when you stumbled across other players and those big events kick off. I mean, they're pretty exciting.
Yeah, I loved it when those big ships warped in.
You might want to check this out.
Between missions, you go to the tower, which is the game's main hub. It's loaded with vendors offering new gear and missions.
You look like someone who's got something worth cracking.
It's a nice looking place, but it felt a little sterile. No NPCs are really moving around, and it's crying out for some kind of mini-games.
Nothing will come of nothing.
It is the perfect place to bust some moves, though.
Bust a move.
All right, get down.
Should be out there myself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I liked and was a little offended by how the NPCs just looked at us. They clearly weren't impressed with our moves.
Okay, let's talk.
There was one competitive multiplayer mode that we could test out. It's a standard capture and hold the point mode, but I had a lot of fun with it. Kills come a fair bit quicker than in Halo, but not as quick as COD.
Zone C neutralized.
Yeah, it's good fun, and mixing in things like double jumps and supercharged moves gives it a unique flavour, and it keeps it feeling lively and unpredictable. All in all, I was impressed. They're not really doing anything that new or out there, but I think they're combining a lot of familiar ideas to make something that could be quite compelling.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the final game comes together in September, but it's got a lot going for it already. It is also worth noting that the alpha is now closed, but the beta begins in a few weeks.
An alpha and a beta. They really want to have a smooth launch, don't they?
Yes, they do.